So I know I told you guys last video that we'd be waiting to swap this engine, the beautiful what is this, EZ30D? Yeah, EZ30 into the 914 here until the last track day. But we kind of are getting screwed on that. I don't really feel like driving all the way down to the track about 60 miles away when the weather looks like this. So it's going to be super cold, plus it's going to be snowing, and the RE71Rs on this car aren't quite snow tires, as you can tell. They're literally as bad as you can get without being slicks pretty much. So, yeah, let's start tearing into it. I mean, I'm not going to be pulling the engine tonight, but this is the harness out of the Subaru, and it needs some work. It is clearly a mess. I didn't cut really anything, except for a couple small things like wiper motor. I think some like small stuff like that. I ended up pulling it out totally intact. I know that technically there's a lot of stuff you can cut. I'm pretty sure you can actually cut. Where is it? This harness is so big because I didn't cut anything out of it. Right here. This is where the fuse box is, and you can cut all of that out and then trace it back, but I kind of just wanted to start with an intact harness out of the car and go from the ECU connector, which is somewhere around here, and then sort of just trace it back and go from there, rather than cut it in the car and then have the risk of doing something wrong or missing something. I just want it to be correct. So I'm going to spread this thing out and start identifying stuff, figuring out where stuff goes, and laying it out kind of like it's in the car. By the way, that Subaru took up so much freaking room in this garage. Like, I have this car in here, and I have workspace. I know it doesn't look like a lot of room, but the Subaru went like all the way up to here. I could barely squeeze between my welder and the car, get stuff out of my toolbox. This feels like I have a ton of room again. So I'm going to spread this thing out and start sort of just figuring out where to start. This is always a fun job because this needs to turn into a tiny harness just to run the engine. And it's clearly a lot more than that right now. I got it all spread out. Let me explain myself a little bit here. So let's pretend this is the front of the car with the dashboard. Here's the right side of the dash. This stuff goes down by like the footwell on the right side, as does this stuff, I think. Oh, no. Sorry. This is the ECU connector down here. Duh. This is like one of these connectors goes to the door and all that crap, and this is just a bunch of other garbage that's pretty much all going to get cut out. I think that might actually be the fuel pump relay right there. This is the two bulkheads where it goes into the engine bay. Here is the engine harness connectors right there, and then the rest of the engine harness or accessory harness. So like one of these goes to the O2 sensor, some of this runs down to the transmission, and then like this is random accessories. I think that's actually O2 sensor, but then this is like brake fluid level sensor, that sort of stuff. Some of that will be retained, some of it won't. And then we get over here, and let's go to this one. This is the dash harness that actually goes up inside the dashboard. And I will be keeping some of this. I kept none of it with the EJ22 harness. But with this harness, I'm going to keep some of it for the cluster. So there's actually a way to cut the circuit board that the cluster is on and retain just the tachometer. So I got to figure out which one of these plugs. I'm assuming it's probably one of these two is for the tachometer, and I'll cut the circuit board and make that work so I can fit that inside the car. So that's pretty much the only thing out of the dash harness that's going to be kept. I mean, this has like radio connectors here. It is everything in the dash, all the switches and everything. But I'm going to keep a handful of wires out of this. What sucks about that is it goes through either this giant connector, which I'll delete that if that's the case, or this, which is through the fuse box and everything. I don't know which one it goes through. I could see it going through either one, to be honest, because it could be fused. I just don't know. But I will either way delete all that crap there and just run the necessary wires based on the wiring diagram. But this is all the stuff under the driver's like dashboard, I guess. I mean, this is like random crap. I think this maybe a trans controller. This is the alarm. This is, what does this say? Daytime running light assembly. Why is that? See, I don't understand how that has so many wires going. I don't get it. Maybe this is the trans computer, actually. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I also have the bulkhead here going up to the fuse box. Pretty much all this is going to get deleted. Hopefully all of it. I'm pretty sure it should be all of it. And, I mean, there's just so much in this harness. Think about it. All the switches for cruise control, lighting, like this harness that's cut here. This is what goes just to the headlights, turn signals, that sort of stuff. And all of that goes in here, goes through this fuse box, goes through all this bullshit and everything. So I have to get all this stuff cut off and start tracing it back. Essentially, this is the start here because the ECU is the important part for me, and I just have to figure out what gets kept off the ECU based on wires, and I'll trace them back, and then what doesn't, and chop the rest out. It's pretty daunting looking, but when I did the harness in this that's in here now, it really wasn't that bad. I did it from start to finish. I started at maybe like 4 p.m. I think, or maybe 5 p.m. I think is what I remember getting home, and I finished it like 3 a.m. I just worked through the night. I don't know why I remember that, but I definitely do recall doing that. So, yeah, I'm just going to do this off camera because it's like the least exciting work ever. But I do want to say, because I'm pulling this thing apart, I'm going to do a lot of work. And the biggest thing, I think, is like making this car pretty over the winter. Because now I have all winter to do this car. And I have a lot of suspension stuff that's pretty dialed. Needs a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of work. But the biggest thing is this car looks like shit. I mean, it looks better in video and it still looks like shit in video. So I want to redo everything cosmetically and make this car look properly good and, you know, be really anal about it. So I think I'm just going to start tearing this car apart once I get this harness close to sorted. And I just want to know what you guys think. Do you guys have a color suggestion? Do you have any suggestion on anything else? Interior, I'm going to leave pretty similar to what it's at now because it's dirty, but like it's pretty close to done. I need another seat, but with the gauges in there and stuff, you know, I've got carpets and it's really not so bad. I don't hate it, but exterior wise, like this and this and the fitment here and the lack of engine lid and this and that, everything. It's just bad, so it needs fixed. All right, it's the next night, and this is what we have. We've got a harness right here by my right foot. Is all my engine plugs. Well, there is 3 of my engine plugs and the harness that goes down to the rear O2 sensor. We have a fuel pump. No, this is the main relay. So this is the relay that kicks the ECU on. If we come down here to this bundle of wires, this is our OBD2 sensor. So that'll be retained. I don't know if I'll shorten those wires or keep them intact and just wrap them up. Clearly this will all be cleaned up because I'm not a monster. This is another engine connector. I need to run this up to here. I still need to pull this covering off. And then what else do we have? We have a bunch of like loose wires here. So these are grounds, like constant power, switched power, so a couple of outputs, vehicle speed sensor input. Let's see, that's switched power. That's if I want to wire a check engine light in. which I don't know why I would. Just need to chop that because it's always going to be on. Tack output, stuff like that. What else? Yeah, there we go. So that's about it. And that should be pretty much all I need. I've actually minimized this more than I did the harness that's in here. I was pretty ruthless with this harness, and it's pretty small now, actually. I'm pretty surprised. But I'm going to continue running it. I'm going to move this connector on the engine here. All these connectors are all right next to each other, all four of these harness connectors. So they need to be all four together here as well. I suppose with the engine in the car, it's going to be like the same layout because they're both Subarus, so I just need to figure out exactly where I would need to run it in the car and everything. I want it to be a little bit nicer. I don't know how, but somehow the wiring in this car kind of looks like a mess, and it shouldn't. So I'm going to make it look nice this time around. But that's pretty much it. It's pretty darn simple, I think. That's everything. Oh, there's this connector here. That's for the fuel pump controller, because this car had like a separate control unit for the fuel pump. I don't know which one of these is which. On my ECU pinout, I've got two wires, and they're both labeled as the fuel pump controller. So once I have it in the car and everything, I can figure that out, which one will go to my fuel pump relay. Because I'll have a separate fuel pump relay instead of just trying to run it straight off the ECU. But check that out. That is what I removed. That's a lot of harness. Now I might steal at least one connector out of there because I need that for this. I still need to do some digging to figure out which connector, which pin. I know the wire colors and stuff, so I need to take this apart, figure out how I'm going to steal this tack, because that's the one thing I want. Besides that, all that is garbage. So, a bunch of scrap wire. Just going to throw it in the trash. Happy to get rid of it. But I'm quite satisfied with myself. This about, I'd spent about 2 hours on it last night, another 3 or 4 tonight. But it's coming along pretty nice. So I figured I'd round this video out with a little bit of an unboxing. Got me some sweet Australian parts here. I figured I would buy these before I painted the side skirts and the wing, because I'd want these painted as well. And then also some hardware. This is the Move Bellmetric. They sell the best hardware. I just bought a couple bags of nuts because I'm low on them. But here we are. Some Rep Ganadors. Rep as in replica, because I'm not spending $1,400 on a pair of mirrors. Because I'm pretty sure that's about what Ganadors cost for S14s. So there's the two sides. What's up with the blue tint? So baller. And the base plates. Sweet. So I think there's a bag of hardware in here as well. Yeah. I will pull the stock mirrors off. One of the mirrors is damaged. Like they broke the corner of the base off, which is why I'm replacing them. Because I don't really want to replace them with another pair of stock mirrors. So Ganador reps instead. Why not, right? Let's get these bad boys installed. So got it bolted on. Fitment's pretty darn nice for a rep piece. You can see. I am going to sand this down. You can see that looks like pretty cheap and all this stuff, but I'm going to sand it, and these are going to get painted body color. So that will all be smoothed out, and it should be a lot nicer. So that is going to be it for this video, I suppose. I can't move any further with this harness. I know it looks like a mess, but it's actually pretty simple. I just kind of have it coiled up right now. In order to move along with this harness, it needs to be in the car in order to fit it pretty much. I don't want to wrap it up and everything and have the harness be way too long and need to modify it or anything. So I need to put it in the car, and I want to put it in the passenger compartment rather than the trunk this time. I think it will just be nicer in there. The wiring will be more hidden, and I think it'll work out better. We'll see though once we actually get to it, but that's pretty much as far as I can go with this. I'm going to try to wrap it up with some zip ties and throw it in a box and put it away for relatively soon because I missed my track day that I was supposed to go with this. I told you guys I wasn't going to tear this car apart until the final track day, but it was Sunday. Today's Tuesday, and it snowed 11 inches on Sunday. So that is not really a really good weather condition for this car. Excuse all the crap all over my car. I just acquired all this shit, so. But yeah, that means it's time I can tear this car apart and not feel bad about missing track events and stuff, even though I missed pretty much everything this summer. But I had better things to do. And now I have a house and a garage and everything to work in. And the 240 runs, so I guess it was worth it. But a little bit of a bummer that I missed out on that last one. But I'm super excited to tear into this. So make sure you guys subscribe if you're not already. Next video will probably be starting to tear this thing apart. We're doing everything on this car. We're going to make it look pretty. We're going to do some suspension upgrades, modifications. We're going to leave the interior mostly, but it's going to get a 6-cylinder, all sorts of stuff. I've got tons of stuff in store for this thing. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.